All right, Sistas fans, hope everybody's doing well. I know this video is technically late, but I'm not going to apologize because look, it's a holiday week slash weekend, and I needed a break. So considering I went live on Wednesday night, I live tweeted because I watched the episode live, and then I did a live stream afterwards. And like I said in the live and whatnot, and even on Twitter, I'm like, you know what? I honestly didn't feel like doing a live because not only was I sleepy, but there really wasn't much to talk about from the episode itself. Now, I was conflicted on what to score the episode, but I am going to give it a 4 out of 10. And the reason being is, if you take out the Fatima portion of the episode, the Zach and Fatima opening scene, as well as towards the end at the hotel, this episode was yet again another reminder of why this show needs either better writing or new characters, or just in general supporting the fact that Fatima spinoff may indeed spell the end of Sistas. Because how many times are we going to deal with this Sabrina Calvin stuff? How many times is Danny going to act petty but try to call Preston the petty one? Karen, I literally wanted to rip my eardrums out because she's still on this whole I needed to move on, or he didn't mean it. He didn't mean it. I don't understand. And then the Andy, look, when I tell you that I'm probably going to do a separate video about Andy being a hoe, I'm not holding back. And even the opening scene, I will admit, I wanted to give this, if I was grading this episode specifically on the Fatima stuff, and there are some people who say that I'm messing up the name online. Yes, there are people who comment on videos, Twitter and Instagram saying it's Fatima, not Zatima. For anybody who knows what the term shipping is, it's basically when fans or viewers of a movie or show or franchise or book series pretty much pairs two characters together. They usually fuse their names as well. You got Zach and you got Fatima. You put the Z instead of the F, and what do you have? Zatima. Enough said. But I think that this episode had me on an emotional roller coaster because I was pissed off in the first 5 minutes, just like people have been since the preview for this episode last week. And that's, is Zach going to lie to Fatima and then they break up? It wasn't a bad scene. I'm not saying it was a bad scene. I don't think it was poorly acted. I don't feel like these characters were there yet. What I mean by that is, I don't feel like this scene was earned, if you know what I mean. It felt way too forced. You're telling me Zach, of all people, who's been the main person in this couple, and I know, it's debatable as to whether or not they're officially a couple yet, but they're a couple of people who are the stars of the show, so I'll just say couple for simplicity's sake. For him to be the main one to say, speak your feelings, tell me what's on your mind, don't just lash out at me. And, Fatima, she even commented that, yeah, that took quicker, that was quicker than I thought, in reference to how quickly Zach went from Danny's place to over her place. And then to not believe, and then to just believe that, oh yeah, we had sex. Okay, you could argue, well, Jeremy, they did have sex the last time they met up, so Fatima could think that way. It's weird because you got Zach acting incredibly immature, and then you have Fatima, who apparently always assumes the worst because she had his things pre-packed. So what if Zach came in, told the truth, and said what happened on the phone just now before he even walked in? Then how would he have reacted to her having his stuff packed? See what I mean? And I'll do an entire video on this about, the biggest what is the biggest obstacle or hurdle for Zatima to overcome. And while some might think it's Hayden and his antics, or Karen, no, it's actually their difficulty in communication. So I had mixed feelings about this episode. Again, it wasn't awful, but it really expressed how boring this series can be, as well as how, well, just bad the main cast are, the 4 main women. I look at it this way. I feel like the 4 women, Karen, Danny, Sabrina, Andy, they're like the state of, let's say, Massachusetts. And then Fatima is a peninsula. I don't know. Look, I know geography well I knew it well back in the day, but I can't think off the top of my head what states in the United States have peninsulas as opposed to what states are the peninsulas of the United States. But basically, put it this way, you got the four main women who are the main state, and then you have Fatima kind of hanging on as a peninsula. That's the best way to put it. Or you could just say that the four main women are the United States, and Fatima's like Florida, a peninsula for the United States. That's the best way to put it, where she really should not have been in the opening. I feel like I'm going on a tangent about Fatima, but as a couple, not just Fatima, because really it's like Tyler Perry wrote this character in with more meat in season 2 and 3, and now that's why he's doing a spinoff. But the episode itself, I could sum it up in less than 5 minutes. So before moving forward in the video, make sure you take a moment to hit the thumbs up button to show you like it. Hit subscribe, because, well, we're less than 250 people away from 190,000 subscribers, onward to 200,000. Hit that bell icon and select all. That way you don't miss out when I post content on the channel. And follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. So I really want to say up front, this episode, okay, I kind of talked about the first scene already with Zach coming back into the apartment. You know, Fatima's cooking, and she noticed how it didn't take too long for Zach to meet up with Karen and talk. And then this scene doesn't need to be dissected, because just like Spider-Man No Way Home, they're just putting way too much crap in the trailers, because he goes on about how I said I loved her, I want to be with her, and you know, he's just lying to her face. Basically from there, there's a bunch of F you, F that, F you, get out of here, Zach. And I'm thinking to myself the whole time, Zach, Fatima done told you she got a crazy side. Do you really want to be lying like this and then cursing at this woman in a kitchen where the knives are? And from there, you know, she's like, yeah, there'll be somebody else here eating this dinner. And then Zach retorts, oh, and you're proud of that? To be honest, it's kind of foreshadowing for later on with Andy. It's like, oh, and you're proud of that? Wow, that's a good point. It's like, Zach, this really isn't the best time for you to do what you're doing, because I understand the anger being in context of that voice message, because that's what he said later. Yeah, why did I get this message on my phone early this morning? And that doesn't make sense, because I'm pretty sure the Fatima phone call happened later that night or that day, because on the phone call, Fatima literally says, girl, I'm over here. I need to get out of here because I stayed over, because she told Zach the same thing, because Zach apparently wanted to see Fatima before seeing Karen. And then that's when Fatima said, I worked longer hours today. So I feel like Tyler Perry just forced this in. But going into why I wanted to score the episode higher, at the beginning of the episode, they had broken up, but then by the end, they got back together. And I have to applaud Tyler Perry for that, because I didn't know he would, I couldn't believe he would break up this couple the week of Thanksgiving. And then it would make sense if he did this, considering the season's almost over. But I just feel like this episode truly proved that these two need to work better at communication, because even, Zach started to play, didn't he try to play the karma game? It's like, oh yeah, all this is going to come back to you. I guess in reference to, oh yeah, you know, filling my head up with positivity and whatnot. And then, you know, I just saw your true colors and blah, blah, blah. I don't even want to, this scene was just so infuriating, because like I said before, it just didn't feel deserved yet. So let's talk about the boring characters who aren't Zach and Fatima. Andy, this scene was just like way too damn long. So Andy just stops them from having sex, saying, I don't want to cheat on my fiance. Bitch, you're in the bed. You knew what you were doing going upstairs. I have no sympathy. And Robin is like, wow, I haven't been rejected like this since I was 16. You know, oh yeah, I'm just so confused. And, you know, and he's like, oh yeah, well, I respect the fact that you honor Gary. If this is what relationships are like in 2021, I think I'm just going to stay single, or maybe be like Fatima and just date to date, because I cannot maybe it's just me, maybe because I'm one of these quote unquote nice guys, or I've just been single so long so I don't know what the dating market's like anymore. If you're supposed to be engaged or committed to someone, how does that excuse the behavior of, they pissed me off, so I want to take out my frustration by making out, having sex, hooking up with another guy? It's just, and vice versa, you know, hooking hooking up, like guys hooking up with a woman because, they're a woman. Basically, you step out on your partner because they pissed you off. And then you come right back to them. So apparently they'll call each other at some point and, they confirm, oh yeah, don't worry, we're good. And then Andy's like, oh yeah, yeah, I'll give you a hug. And I'm thinking to myself, what's going to happen is she going to feel that he's still hard and then leave embarrassed. But basically notice that apparently she only took off her top and I believe her shoes. And then later at the end of the episode, not to skip too far ahead, but later on in the episode when she gets home, it's her and Gary, and then it's like, oh yeah, your underwear's on backwards. And it's like, wait, what? How does that make sense? All right. So she's like trying to, straighten her clothes and all out, basically compose herself as she leaves the bedroom. And Zach just so happens to be right across from the room saying, hey, Andy. And then she's like, because like, hey, what are you doing here? Oh, hi, Zach. Bye, Zach. And it's interesting because I don't believe these two have shared a scene together since the season 2 finale when they met in the grocery store. It was Zach, Fatima, and the Sistas crew. All right, so from there you got Zach just in the room, and for some reason he calls Fatima. I'm like, Zach, why are you calling Fatima? But goes straight to voicemail. In the midst of his sorrow and grief and just annoyance, he gets a call from Natalie Morgan from the bank, saying that the market went up because, it's late. Hey, I'm sorry, it's late, but I just had to call you. Have been watching the market? No, Natalie, I just can't take any bad news today. No, it's good news. The market is up. So that $287,000 in your bank account, remember, he had two. First, the money he invested in the stock, and then when he took, what was it? Was it $500,000? Yeah, it was $587,000. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm getting my damn numbers mixed up. Basically, the 287 was what he left in his stock account. That was the stock account. And that has now grown to 1.7 million. So he wants to sell the stock and then basically $1 million of that stock and put it in his other account. She'll sell, and then the next morning he can come by and they can arrange it. So my man is now a millionaire. But I feel like since the first scene with Zach and Fatima felt so undeserved, I really didn't feel too much for Zach. Like, I mean, in this moment, like, it was exciting, but I didn't feel... It felt like one of those things that just happened because it could happen. Or almost like every time Zach, walks away from a situation that leads him down, there's a financial pick-me-up. And trust and believe, I had my phone right beside me looking for a phone call the same night. Like, I hope I get a phone call like that saying I'm a millionaire. All right, so Aaron and Karen are at the bar or restaurant where they're meeting up. And this scene is really just, he asked if she's okay. And, he wants to know how the conversation went with Zach. She doesn't want to talk about it. And he even tries to, like, make a little snide remark. Oh, that's a nice dress. Are you looking at good for me or for Zach? And she doesn't want to talk about it. So he just tries to, change subject, saying, you know what? Hey, I'll let it go. I'm honestly surprised he did, because in reality, he was the one that was like, you need to talk with Zach, blah, blah, blah. So he just tries and tries to, compliment her and this and that. But she's breaking down because she literally can't take it because she's still thinking about Zach. And then she just leaves. She just ups and leaves. And, Aaron's like, and he's like, hey, where are you going? I just need to be alone. And he's like, okay, I'll pay it. He pays the tab. And then, we go over to Danny and Preston. They have this is post-sex. I think, Preston even says something like, that was a mighty yee-haw, something like that. And he's ready to go. He's not spending the night. And he's going back to his cousin's place. And then Danny's like, petty Preston, bitch, you're the one that set the rules. Don't be mad when he's abiding by them. All right, so he says, yeah, I'll call when I get home. And apparently, did she look at his phone, or was it just a random picture that was in his pocket or something? Basically, it's a picture of his cousin Alice, who isn't really his cousin anymore because she had married into his family, becoming his cousin. But then Alice and the cousin that she married within Preston's family got a divorce, but apparently they're still on good terms, so he's staying with her. And now Danny's acting kind of jealous about it. So she wants to know the last name, but of course Preston's like, nope, you just want to look her up on social media. peace, I'm out. So Andy's at the bar and she calls Fatima and she's like, smirking like, hey girl, come on over to the Carlisle, because she calls Fatima, who doesn't have another man there. She's looking distraught. And she's like, yeah, come on down to the Carlisle Hotel. And I'm thinking to myself, why exactly does she want Fatima to come? Because you basically teased Robin and that's it. But trust and believe, we'll find out what happens with that later. So Karen's, crying on her couch. And then Aaron knocks at the door so they can talk. And basically, it's just the same thing. He won't say it. I need it. And then she's like, it's not too much to ask for. And I will admit, Aaron for the first time said something useful. Aaron said it isn't too much for her to ask for it, but it doesn't seem like she needs it in order to move on. Not to mention that it isn't fair for Zach to say that, because you have so much history together. So for him to not say, I don't love you no more, it doesn't make sense. And this is exactly what Zach said. And I did an entire video breaking down every scrap of that dialogue from that damn speech, or that scene, excuse me. And Zach pretty much said, I'm telling you the truth, not what you want to hear. Because literally anytime Zach said what she wanted him to say, or what she wanted him to say, it just wouldn't stick. So I don't know what else to say. It's just like, I'm sorry I'm split, because it's like, between my feelings for Zach, my feelings for you. Essentially, she's like, I'm never fully devoted to you because of the quote unquote hold that Zach has on her. So it isn't that simple. And, Aaron's like, you know what? Yeah, I know it isn't that simple. You just need to give it time. And this is the only line of dialogue Karen said the entire episode that had me going, what does she mean by that? I don't have time. Are we talking pregnancy? Fatal illness? Well, what's going on, Karen? And I need him to mean it, or hear him say it. And she's sad that he didn't mean it. And again, we're just talking in circles here. So after that, I think he just holds her and that's it. And I don't really care, because these characters bore me. All right, so we go over to Sabrina and Calvin. He, tries to cuddle up. So hey, I told you everything, because, she's still drinking, they're eating, still trying to quote unquote process everything. And, I think he's like, so did you want me to stay or go home? Oh yeah, you can go. I'm tired. I might go to bed soon. And then, she's like, okay, bye. So Calvin leaves. And then as soon as he shuts the door, the look on Sabrina's face is like her eyes start bulging, and then the background music I will admit, this episode had amazing music. I think this was some of the best background and transition music that I've ever heard in the Sistas episode in quite a while. So how this shit goes. She calls Danny, they talk about the Calvin stuff, and Danny's like, look, there it is. And just like Maurice, look, I'm tired of the drama. Make up your mind if you want him or not, and that's it. She's like, I'm going to send thirst trap photos to Preston, while he's with Alice. And we go over to Fatima. Well, let me just skip to another boring ass scene so I can talk about the hotel. Maurice and Calvin talk. Calvin gets over there, and he just basically, Maurice is like, you screwed up, Calvin. You told that innocent poor girl all the things you do with Peggy. And then when he mentions some of the things that he does to Maurice, he's like, what? That sounds a little suspect, Calvin. Well, I know it might sound suspect, but I don't like when I'm not interested in a man doing those things to me. I don't mind when a woman tells me does those things to me. Maurice is like, what, I would be down for that. I feel like Maurice might be mad, because it's like, Calvin, if you're gay, then oh my god, that would be amazing for me. But that, you could just tell by the look on his face. So it's the penetration stuff, blah 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 blah. And then he goes on, what, hey, it's for her to accept me for me or not. And when I tell you I was so mad when this scene just dragged on, I'm like, I don't give a damn about these characters. Get back to the hotel. So let's go. Fatima shows up with Andy. And Andy is obviously a little bit buzzed, because she's her and Robin had some drinks before they went upstairs, and now Andy's having some more drinks. So, she says that, oh, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, I saw Robin, and I didn't tell the girls. Ooh. And then she's like, Gary's pissed. Yeah, Gary pissed me off, and I came over to the hotel. Me and Robin had some drinks, and I almost had sex with him. And then Fatima's like, "Oh," and she's like, "Wait, that isn't good." I mean, wait, what do you mean? Oh, and Fatima's like, "Look, Andy, I don't think that's good. Why not? It's like that's the most action I've had in like a while. So I thought you'd be happy." Ho, you a hoe. All right, so Zach and Karen, they talk about that chat, and oh yeah, because Andy asked Fatima, "Why are you looking so upset?" Because Zach and Aaron had a chat, and apparently Zach and Karen had to talk, and apparently had sex about how, oh, we still love each other, and they're getting back together. And then Andy, who I will admit, this was her only saving grace in this episode, which made me not 100% hate her, is the fact that she doesn't believe it, because you need to check your sources. Like, things just look a bit shaky to me, because I don't want to say too much. Because remember, she doesn't want to be in the middle of this. She says, "I saw Zach upstairs in the hotel, right across from Robin's room." Wait, what? And Fatima's like, "Wait, is Karen with him?" "I don't know. Just check your sources." And then she mentions that Robin's in 1530, so Zach must be in 1529. And, Fatima also mentions the fact that the Hayden call went well, and then in the midst of that, she's like, "Oh my God, that explains it all." So then she rushes up rushes, and then Andy's like, "Hey, knock on Robin's door and tell him I said hello." Andy, just turn around and finish your drink. So this was my favorite part of the episode, and that's the fact that, Zach was just chilling on his bed, because remember, after he found out how rich he is now, he was jumping on the bed like Scrooge McDuck, diving through his money bin. Fatima knocks on the door. Zach's like, "Who is it?" "Fatima." And then he lies about having somebody over in the room with him. She's like, "Well, tell that bitch to get dressed and leave." And from there, he kind of like peeks through the door. He opens a little crack. "So what's up?" And she's like, "Open this door, Zach." Well, she in here like you. And then I love how she just I don't know what it was about this scene that made Fatima so attractive. Maybe it's the fact that there was finally effective communication going between them, and maybe because that's so rare nowadays in relationships. But the fact that she burst through the door, "Where is she?" "Yeah, she just went through the window." Zach, we're on the 20th floor." So basically, he's like, "Wait, how'd you know I was here?" Did Andy snitch? And did you sleep with Karen? "Yeah." "Okay, no." And then the whole thing about Hayden coming by the house. I'm like, thank God he finally mentioned that. And then also tells her about the phone call. And Fatima gets her girl on the phone to confirm the story about the fake phone call. And if you don't believe me about the spinoff, hear me out. I'm pretty sure the girl on the phone must be the friend in the character descriptions named Angela, because I don't think Tyler Perry would be alluding so much to Fatima's friend group outside of Andy if it wasn't going to be a main thing at some point. So the story's legit, and they actually make up. And it's funny how Zach is joking too much about how, I gotta go down. No, Zach, because I want to stay here with you, but I left my purse downstairs. I gotta see Andy again. And it's like, yeah, you better stay up here by yourself. Well, in a room like this, I'm gonna have somebody up here. Zach, you better stop playing. I'm warning you. I was like, okay. I'm like, this fool played too much. And then when she leaves, he goes on to say, "Wait, is my thing bigger? Because I'm a millionaire." It's like, oh, okay, this isn't bigger. I'm like, Zach is a damn fool. I was smiling from, ear to ear when this scene finished up. And I'll do a full video probably talking about the communication thing. But the last scene, this was at a point where I could have just cut the TV off. The only reason I kept it on was to see the preview, even though the stream ended before I could see it. Andy gets home. Gary's there waiting for her to say, "Hey, I'm sorry, yada, yada, yada. I fired Angela. You were right about her. She tried to have sex with me." And he's like, "Hey, Andy, can you help me find a therapist?" And then, wait, so this therapist can say something you don't like, and then you blame me for it? He's like, "Okay, touche." And she's like, "Okay, I want to shower and get to bed." Gary wants to start something right then and there. I'm not going to lie. I honestly thought there was like a woman in the room or something like that. Anything to prevent Andy from going into the bedroom. That's what I thought. But, when he starts messing around, you're like, "Hey, let's stop the BS and all this stuff." And then notices that her undies are backwards, and that's the episode. So overall, guys, this episode yet again just proved how boring and repetitive most of the characters are. And like I said with Danny in mid to late season 2 with Preston, the same could be said about this first scene with Zach and Fatima. Tyler Perry kind of inserts forced drama and tension between characters just to get something going, because if the Zach and Fatima thing didn't happen, there really wouldn't be much conflict in the episode. The only thing I could think of is maybe the Karen Aaron stuff, but thankfully those scenes didn't take up as much time as I thought they would, but I still didn't care for them that much. I understand there are some people that sympathize with Karen because of the relatability of her situation, but it just seems like at this point something's really wrong with this girl, and Aaron just needs to move on, because she literally said, I can't give you 100% of myself because I'm still thinking about him. So one minute you have him understanding, he's literally like Gary, one minute he's hot, one minute he's cold, because yeah, he can understand and be patient, but reasonably get angry when Karen says Zach when those two are together in bed. So it is what it is. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on this episode from a woman, and we'll just see what next week has in store. So make sure you take a moment to hit like and subscribe, as I mentioned earlier in the video, and if you would like to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal or Cash App.